Okay, you guys know what to do. It's time to dance.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for
you. This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning into the classroom for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening and viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, have you ever had to make a decision that enough is enough? I will no longer settle. I will no longer comply. I will no longer choose the easy road. What point will you do this in your life? Well, today's teacher, Lindsey Graham, known also as the Patriot Barbie, made that decision when the government crossed the line between making sense and making sense no more. What would you do? Would you take a stand? Well, she did. She has taken the stand, and now she is sharing with the world how to take a stand for family, for freedom, and more. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am so grateful that Lindsey Graham is here to do just that. Where are you, Lindsey? There she is.
I'm
is
here.
Coming out. I am so
got my
glad that
finger on the button, ready to go.
Well, I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for coming into the classroom today.
Thank
I
you.
first found out about you. I'm trying to remember how I learned about you. And I thought, not everybody has an opportunity to take a stand as globally as you have. So share a little bit about your background and what led you to the path you've chosen today.
Oh boy. So the path that I took was that in 2020, in March, when we were all locked down, I had 6 businesses in Oregon. We had a beautiful home. I have 3 kids. I just had a brand new baby. I was complying and, obeying the 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And when 2 weeks turned into 6 and the entire world was still shut down, I kind of started going, I'm not sure I believe everything anymore. And we reopened. My husband and I decided I was going to reopen my hair salon against lockdowns and do hair and allow my 25 stylists to do hair. And apparently that was very controversial. But that was a moment that I truly believe God had prepared me for. I was not political. I wasn't even really that close and in touch with God at that time in my life. I wasn't consulting him about, hey, I'm thinking about defying the government. Should I? I just kind of did it because I felt it was the right thing to do. And I believed that my freedoms were being violated and that my freedom came from God and not government. And so, what led me to that moment? I don't know. I think I was very unprepared for what it would entail. And I think that is actually beautiful, because then if I would have known what I was in for, I might not have done it.
Yeah, I've found myself that my yes is greater than my fear, especially when I don't know what I'm fearful about.
Yes.
So it's like when you say yes and you know that you're being called to that yes, and you're a committed person, okay, I said yes, so I'm no matter what. But here you are embracing freedom and life, even life, because you've spoken up on that as well, and I've done the same thing too. So these are not popular topics, especially now with the cancel culture, that if
Right.
you don't agree, we'd rather belong to a group that's wrong, or a group that is, really entitled. It's a really close-knit, organized group.
Yeah.
Which, if you think about it, Lindsay, and I was thinking about this not too long ago, it was a small group that crucified Jesus. It wasn't the majority that
Oh,
did it. And so, they get really organized. We, the 99%, we're like, oh, nothing's going to happen. We're strong in numbers, but we're not organized. So that's
yeah.
how they can do that. That's how they can do that. So here you are, speaking about freedom and taking a stand about this. How did this impact your home? How did this impact your family? Because here you are protecting everybody's right and speaking against it. So how did it affect your life?
It changed my entire life. And I want to say something really quick, that I love that you made the point that Jesus was crucified by a small amount of people, because I feel like that's where we're at in America, where the majority of us believe that babies' lives matter and that children shouldn't be mutilated, and that we have a mental health crisis. I think most people are going, okay, something is really, really wrong in our culture and our society, but I don't want to be the one to say anything because I don't want to get canceled and I don't want to be disagreed with. But you're right. If the majority would have spoken up, I mean, we want Jesus to have been crucified because we were saved. But at the same time, what happens when those of us that believe what we believe don't rise up and say something? We end up with what we have now, which is that they have taken over America and are doing what they want. And, this whole situation in 2020 turned my life upside down. I was a salon owner. I was a hairstylist for 15 years. I was very successful. Our businesses were successful. And by standing up for what was right, I fought the government for weeks, and they threatened me every day with something new. And I was able to withstand those threats, mostly because I felt like, you're bluffing. You're trying to harass me into shutting down, hoping that if you threaten me enough, I will comply. And I also felt like the more they came after me, the more it seemed really desperate. Like, why do you want me to shut down so bad? And I know it's not about health, because Walmart is open and no one's
Yeah.
trying to shut down Walmart.
Liquor stores were open.
Yeah.
Essential.
Like, wait, so we all need drugs and alcohol, but we don't need like community. So, what ultimately cost me was cancel culture. I was labeled a murderer and a thief and a grifter and, an attention whore. And, oh, she's doing this for publicity. And my stylists ended up leaving. People ended up canceling their gym memberships at our gym. I mean, cancel culture annihilated my family. But, I survived it. My family survived it. We moved to Arizona. I mean, quickly, we ran for our lives. And the incredible thing about all of this is that I'm on the other side of that. And I can tell you without a doubt that I would go through it all over again to allow God to get me where he has gotten me today, because I was living a life that I thought I wanted and I loved and I was good at and I was successful and it was satisfying enough. But when God took everything from me in Oregon and I gave it to him and said, I trust you. I know that you're not doing this to hurt me. I believe that this is all for a greater purpose. When I gave that to him, it's almost like he rubbed his hands together and was like, ooh, just you wait, girl, just you wait. And the last 2-3 years has been the greatest journey of my life. And I believe God has destined me for something so much bigger and more purposeful, which is fighting for freedom. I'm not coloring hair in a salon. I'm literally taking on the spiritual war in America. I mean, that is so much more fulfilling and purposeful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can understand. I share your passion. I share your passion. I think that, it's funny because in my life, prior to being told, why don't you start your own radio show? I used to use the microphone to sing. That's what I did. I used to use the microphone to sing. But then once I started doing the show and I started seeing and being taught by wonderful teachers about natural health and about, I don't know if you know who Dr. Andrew Saul is of Food Matters, but he was the one that got me off of all my asthma medication. And I was on a lot of asthma medication between a commercial break. Hey, Lily, I can help you get off all your asthma medication. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And now I am so passionate. Someone asked me, I did a free webinar last night, and someone asked me after we were done, where do I get my energy from? Where do I get my passion from? And I couldn't answer other than when you're called, you're called.
Yep.
And you answer that call no matter what it takes. You don't think about what's on the other side of fear. Or let me just rephrase that. You only think about what's on the other side of fear.
Yes.
I said that incredibly wrong. So
but it made sense both ways.
Yes. Well, that was, there have been so many things that I've been called to do that I was totally unequipped for. But my yes was greater than my fear. And I trusted that God would give me exactly what I needed when I needed it. Do you feel that that has been the same for you, that I don't know how I'm going to do it, but God does?
Oh yeah. I've met people before I was really like, I feel like I'm almost in a ministry now. And I hate to say that because I don't want to be judged like I'm in a ministry, but I've spoken with people previously in my life who've said, we just give it all to God and he always provides. And I'm like, how does that work? How does money show up? Give me a break. And now I understand. I've developed relationships and networks here in Arizona. And I left this, 6-figure job and went, okay, I don't know how we really think we're going to just live the same life without my entire income, but we'll figure it out. And I'm not joking. I will, I'll tithe or I'll donate to a pro-life organization, or I'll say, Lord, I can't afford this, but I trust you. And he'll drop a number in my head of something that I feel like we need. And that money will come. Like someone will say, oh, by the way, I forgot that you got commissions from this referral or this or this. And it's like, he just finds a way. Or, a random sponsorship for my podcast that wants to overpay. It is incredible what you say, what's on the other side of fear. And that is faith. That's complete and utter faith. If you truly believe that the God of the universe has your best interest in mind and loves you and will take care of you, you absolutely must obey. And, honestly, I'm a pretty strong-willed, I guess you could imagine this, hard-headed woman. And I believe that that's a blessing. God gave me that
kind. I would say the best kind.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
I see you.
And that was pretty clear from when I was 3 years old. My dad would always say that. And now I think, all right, the Lord made me that way for this season.
Such a time as this. Yeah.
Yes. And I did not want to give up my life in Oregon. I hung on for a year. I would fly back to Oregon from Arizona and do hair for a week, keep all my clients, and then fly back home. It was great at the time, but it was me hanging on to my financial security. And I feel like this is so amazing. God knows who we are. He knows, okay, I'm going to let you hang on because I know that you're hard-headed. I know that you're stubborn. I know that you can't let it go. But just so you know, I'm going to slowly start taking it away from you until you're ready. And he did. I started losing my clients to other stylists, to moving out of Oregon, to the point where I couldn't do it anymore financially. And it was him teaching me okay, are you ready to let go? And I'm like, yes, I'm ready. And that pride isn't against God. It's just that, hey, he made me. He knows if I rip this from her, it may do this to her. It may devastate her. It may stress her out. I'm going to let her think that she knows what's best. And when she's ready, I'm going to slowly kind of trickle that away. And sure enough, he took everything in Oregon, and it was monumental. When I finally let go of everything I was hanging on to in Oregon, I went up for my last trip to do hair. I went and said goodbye to my house. We had designed that house from top to bottom. It was our forever home. I'm going to cry.
Okay.
I went and said goodbye. I made peace with this life is over. And when I did, he finally was like, okay, are you ready now? And I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And it seemed like at that time, he started opening the doors that I was finally willing to walk through, because I had finally given up what he didn't want for me. And when I embraced what he wanted for me, not only is it powerful and incredible and exciting, it's almost like, wow, what have I been missing my whole life by doing what I wanted to do instead of what God wanted to do? If the God of the universe has a plan for me, don't you think that's going to be amazing? Don't you think he's
Absolutely.
going to make you love it and want it and enjoy it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it's so interesting when you talk about that and not being able to let go. I thought of the story. It just popped into my head. It's how you capture, I think it's a Rhesus monkey. I don't know why Rhesus monkey comes to mind, but it's a story on how do you capture a monkey. And the way is that you put a banana and you put the banana in the cage, but you don't put the monkey in the cage because the monkey's not going to go in the cage, but you leave enough of hole for the monkey, a small monkey, to reach in and grab the banana, but the banana doesn't fit through the hole.
Ah.
And so the monkey's not going to let go,
Mm-hmm.
ever let go. And that's how they're captured.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So those are things that come to mind, but the same thing happened, and it's happened over and over and over again. This is how the 1% controls the 99%. Not only do they divide us, but they take what is ours, what we've worked so hard for. But what they don't understand is that we're strong. If we created it once, we can create it again.
That's right.
What do you say to someone who is in the process of losing things and they won't let go of that banana? They won't let go of that wallet. They won't let go of whatever it is, the career.
Yep.
What would you say to them when it comes to releasing and trusting?
I would say this is another great analogy. This really hit me hard when I was kind of in the heart of things, was a picture of Jesus, and he had his hand out asking a little girl to hand over her tiny, tiny teddy bear. And the meme said, but Jesus, I love it. And she doesn't want to give it back, right? She loves her teddy bear. And behind his back, which she can't see, is a humongous teddy bear. Like the plushest teddy bear you could imagine, right? And I would honestly say to people who are hanging on that you are only hurting yourself. You may think that you need whatever it is you're hanging on to. And this all needs to be a God conversation, right? I mean, if I would have talked to God, he might have said, no, I'm letting you have this, keep doing it. But I look back and think that was just him accommodating who I was and needing to, let everything kind of slowly go away. But these are conversations that people need to have with God. Is he calling you to let it go? Or is he allowing you to just wean yourself off of whatever it is? But I will tell you, the sooner you let it go and you let God control and you let God lead you, he will open doors that you didn't even dream. You didn't even imagine. I've been following this journey for a year and a half exclusively and saying, Lord, please open the doors you want me to go through. Please close the ones you don't. Please give me discernment. Please keep me focused. And every single day is a day where I wake up and go, God might have something totally different for me today. I have no idea what it's going to be. And every couple months I sit down and I go, I think this is it. I think this is where I'm supposed to be. It's so exciting. But then something new happens later and I go, oh my gosh, he's just not finished. Like he's never finished. You just never know. Yeah. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm doing a speaking tour across America and I'm doing book signings. And just the other day I thought, this is it. This is it. I'm a public speaker. I'm a keynote speaker and I'll bring my books and this is it. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to be tricked again. Who knows in 2 months if God's like, wait, there's more. Yeah. Like, tell me that is not exciting. Tell me that is not what everyone would want, is to know that their creator is like, I can't wait to show you how powerful and mighty I am. If you would just stop wanting to work at the coffee shop, or stop hanging on to that last little paycheck, or stop worrying about what people are going to think of you, or what your family's going to say, or how you're going to be judged, or if you're going to be canceled. Let me know when you're ready. I'm the God of the universe. I can do all things. I love you. I want what's best for you. And I'm ready. You just got to say yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You just got to say yes. But if for people who maybe have never opened the Bible or looked at, I don't believe that the Bible is 100% at this point in our lives not been rewritten. I believe that things have been changed and the Bible has been rewritten for us to not know our power in many cases. But there are other cases that you can read between the lines, like Romans 8. Romans 8 always brings me comfort from start to finish. Like when I don't know what to say, the Spirit knows how to groan and speak directly with God. But what I always say is God works things out for the greater good. That means that God's not just looking out for you, God's looking out for all of us.
That's right.
And we all have that secret or that power or that relationship to turn to God at any time and say, you know what? I know you're 100 trillion times smarter than me. Why would I think I can do a better job than you can? However, here's where I break it apart and say, we as Christians, though, need to take ownership and responsibility for our part. What does it take? Because you didn't show up here today in your pajamas. You were prepared to come on to the classroom today. So there are a lot of people that think, oh, I'll just have to pray for it and I'll get it. Well, sometimes we need to get out of our homes for that to happen. We need to get out in the world and take that stand that you took. Had you not taken that stand, you would be living a perfectly happy life in Oregon, doing what everybody wanted you to do, or your businesses could have failed miserably without you taking a stand too.
That's right. That's the other thing you have to ask yourself is this all happened. And if I were not a believer, I would curse God and say, you took my livelihood, you took my home, you took my friends, you took my family, my reputation. Why, God, why? Well, how are we to know that in 6 months, because of everything that the government had done to us, that I wasn't going to go bankrupt anyway?
That's right.
And now because I had taken my stand and my life got turned upside down, he provided me with a new plan, a new purpose that I wouldn't have had. And we would just be, I believe, truly, I really do believe this. If I had not stood up in Oregon, I mean, 6 businesses, a brand new home. We had just bought a brand new vehicle because I just had a brand new baby. We were in debt because we had just invested everything into our businesses and our home. If I had not stood up and defied lockdowns, I believe that we would have gone bankrupt. I truly do. How do you owe $30,000 on your home at the end of a 3-month period where you were not allowed to work? Where does that money come from? How do we come up with $60,000, which was just what the rent would have been on my salon at the end of 6 months when they said, oh, you can start paying your rent back? Where did I get that money? My stylists weren't paying rent because they weren't working. I believe that we would have been completely bankrupt, broke in Oregon. And God used me, even without my consent, to do this bold thing. And because he did, I am eternally grateful. I am eternally grateful because I don't even know what he saved me from. And that's the kind of faith I have every day. You know, you get a flat tire on the side of the road. I'm not mad at God. I think, okay, there was a car accident 5 minutes up and I would have died and my children would be paralyzed or something. So thank you, Lord, for this flat tire that just saved my life.
Correct.
And that is the kind of faith that we have to have all the time, even in these extremists. You know, I'm going on Newsmax later today, and we're talking about, you know, the shooting in Nashville and people saying, I guess Christians didn't pray hard enough, did you? And I'm like, don't you dare tell me what faith looks like. Faith is saying my child was shot and killed, and somehow I believe that God has a purpose. Somehow I believe that even in this most horrifying moment of my life, my God loves me, cares for me, and there is something that will come of this. And that might be their faith and their testimony globally, you know, to have parents standing up and saying, we love the Lord and we thank the Lord for the peace he's given our family. That, and people go, what? How can you have that kind of peace? Well, we're spreading the gospel, and it took the murder of kids to do it, but we can't blame God for everything bad that happens when we truly believe that he's looking out for us.
That's right. I truly believe that. And that was a part of our conversation today, because I know you took a stand. And I think that was the first time I saw you, was when you posed as a cat
Oh,
and
yes.
spoke in the school system about being a cat. Share a
Mhm.
little bit about that, and because it correlates with I believe the person who shot the children in the elementary school or in the Christian school was transgender.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so share a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very, very outspoken against the transgender movement. I don't apologize for that at all, because, to the core, when you become sort of like a public figure, social media influential person, people are going to be very quick to point out your hypocrisies and really dissect what is it that you believe and what is hateful and what is loving. And at the core of everything I believe has to be God. And I believe that God made us in his image. He made us perfectly and wonderfully. He made us male and female. And so I believe that when we teach people that you were born in the wrong body, you're teaching them that God made a mistake. And I can never, ever get behind that belief, ever. And so it's one thing for people to believe that, but they're believing it and they're portraying it so publicly now and in schools and in front of children,
Yeah.
and they're teaching it to children that I can't sit by and say, you have the freedom to be who you want. And as a loving Christian, I'm going to just allow it and ignore it. It's like, no. It's creating a mental health crisis in America. And when you are somebody that's responsible for something that's hurting and harming children, you deserve to be told that you are wrong and you need to be stopped. And that is what I'm being called hateful for. And yet I refuse to believe that God would say, I've called you to sit back and let these people harm children. I mean, there's countless scriptures about what God would like to do to people who harm children. They're better off that they would tie a millstone around their neck, sink to the bottom of the ocean, than do what they're doing to children. And so when God turned this all around for me and called me into purpose, I have to listen to his voice. And his voice is like telling me repeatedly, you are not the sweet pastor's wife, Christian, lovely. You're tattooed and you're pierced. You're hardcore. I gave you a voice. I made you bold and aggressive for a reason. And I do have to keep myself in check about what's loving and what's a little too aggressive. But I'm like, Lord, just keep me in check, when you need to. But my role is to be a voice for people who aren't made like me. My voice is my job is to be a voice for those who have not already been canceled, who have things to lose, who don't have it in them, who were created differently, who God has a different purpose for. But my purpose is this. And so that was the first school board meeting I'd ever spoken at. And someone said, there's a man on the school board. He dresses like a woman. He's telling the kids to call him a woman. He uses the girls' restrooms at events. This is predatory. This is dangerous. And I went, you bet it is. And the only thing I could think of was, this is a mockery. I mean, it's a sham that you think you can put on earrings and a dress and lipstick and be a woman. You absolutely cannot. And so I don't know how to present this to you without making a complete mockery of your belief system. So I happened to have a cat costume laying around from Halloween. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go and explain why me being dressed as a cat is not the same as you being dressed as a woman. And I'm not a cat and you're not a woman. And I did it. I felt very empowered by it. I felt like, okay, yeah, this is what God wanted me to do, is speak out. And then it went viral. 2 months later, it went viral. And it brought up.
I like it when you said, hi, I'm a cat, meow, meow.
And I licked too. I even licked.
You were a really good convincing cat, but
Oh my
we all knew. And you asked that question. How many of you in the audience consider me a cat?
And no one raised their hand. Duh. I mean, that's how, and you should see the people on the other side of this argument try to, being a cat and changing your mammal or species is not the same as trans identifying as, this is a ridiculous, it's like, No, it's not. You just don't want to hear it because you want to keep believing what you believe. But everyone knows that what I'm saying makes sense. He's dressed like a woman. He's portraying himself as a woman. I can admit that he thinks he's a woman, but is he actually a woman? No. And aside from all of that, do you want him in the restroom with your little girl? I mean, that's the question. Do you think he should be in the restroom with little girls? And they would say, well, yes, he's a woman. He identifies. And it's like, but you don't really believe that. I don't think you really believe that. I think that you just say it because it fits your narrative.
That's
and
right.
the difference between them and me is that I believe the things that I'm saying. I trust in the things that I'm saying. I back the things that I'm saying. I know when I'm wrong. I know when I'm not making sense. I know when I'm being called out. But the things that are being said on our side are legitimate. They're truthful and they're factual. And the other side is simply saying what they want to say because they don't want to be proven wrong.
Correct. Well, here's something that I'll just give you a little bit of background. When I first started in radio, Dr. David Baker Hargrove, who specializes in gay, lesbian, transgender, queer, whatever all the letters that they have of the alphabet. I hope I didn't miss any.
You did. I'm sure you did.
Well, anyway, we did a show on transgender. I knew someone who was actually going through the process of going from a woman to a man. And so because when the student is ready, the teacher appears. They're my teachers. I'm the student. I want to learn more. I want to understand so that I can love that person with compassion. They went through the process of going through the change. So I had Dr. David Baker Hargrove come on the classroom, and he's like well known in Florida. He's a maverick. He's taken a stand for people but he even said transgenderism, people that want to change their body, is 5% physiological and 95% psychological.
Wow.
That statistic there has always remained. And this is from someone who specializes with gay, lesbian, LGBTQ, all these, and that has stayed with me. So with that in mind, that confirms what you were saying, that this is a mental illness, that there's something that needs to be addressed. But why is it that it's a lot easier to fix a Band-Aid by, like a wound by putting a Band-Aid on it than to say, I know you're a man, you want to be called a woman. Perhaps maybe you should go through some psychological evaluation and go from there, as opposed to telling a child that you can choose your gender in kindergarten.
Right.
Plus, they're being fed testosterone and hormones and food that's frankenfood. They're seeing transgender heroes on television. Who doesn't want to be a hero?
Right. They've preyed on children because children are weak and vulnerable. And there are plenty of adults, and I know some personally, they've transitioned, and I say quotes because you cannot really transition into another gender, but they've taken steps to appear the other gender. And that's an entirely different conversation. And those people are actually mature enough to say, I have gender dysphoria. I have a mental disorder. I know, because my brain is developed, that I'm never going to be the opposite gender. I'm just going to identify the rest of my life as the opposite gender. Kids I remember being a kid, man, you were always insecure. Are these clothes cool enough? I remember specifically as a girl, I was late to puberty. I didn't hit puberty until 17.
Wow.
When I was 17, I still had baby fat, didn't wear makeup, hadn't developed. I was so awkward. I remember thinking, I'm not normal. My body's not normal. This isn't normal. She looks like that. Well, she looks like, is this like, those kind of insecurities are completely standard. And yet we're taking them, and big pharma and government and this administration is capitalizing on the vulnerability of these children. Oh, well, if you're insecure about it, we could just, cut off your boobs. No, like, no.
Too young. Too young to
Yes.
make
If
those
you want
decisions.
to cut off your boobs at 21, go for it. I highly don't suggest it. But at least you weren't a child that someone was indoctrinating and
Right.
manipulating into mutilating your body, which will harm you the rest of your life. Because these things are causing these children to be infertile later in life. So we're not talking about, well, you cut off your boobs. Okay, well, she could always get a boob job later, whatever. But the idea that you're assisting children in mutilating their body, but also feeding them hormones that may cause them to never be able to have children,
Mhm.
you can't make life decisions like that at 8 years old. You absolutely can. I feel like I shouldn't even have to say that, right? There's a reason kids can't drink alcohol or drive cars or smoke. You can't make those decisions. And the adults that are helping propagate this, which is the guy sitting on the school board, going to all the school events, dressed like a woman, looking like a man, they deserve to be, I don't want to say punished. They need to be called out. They need to be addressed. They need to suffer the consequences of their actions for harming children.
Well, well, let's go even further. I believe every life is sacred. As a Christian, even the death penalty is something that is not, and I didn't believe like this. I
Mhm.
believe that kill them, and if you have, a woman has a right, their body, their choice. But it became very clear in the last 3 years, it isn't our body, our choice when it
Mhm.
comes to making choices for our body. But when it comes to sacrificing the life of another, then it's okay. And so moving forward, I've done, I call them classes. I'm not necessarily shows, but I've done classes on life and protecting the life of others. I mean, even that, that life is not even valuable at that moment. I mean, now partial birth abortion, which most people don't realize that is still legal in some states, which is, there's no, I mean, I've asked people that are pro-life, pro-choice, give me one reason that a mother would push a baby halfway at 8 months when the baby could live outside the body, receive a lethal injection.
Someone wants to adopt it. Yeah.
Exactly. Where in any circumstance, any scenario is that to protect the life of the mother?
Right.
There's no scenario that I can imagine or that they could say it, and they only go back to what's acceptable to say, their body, their choice. No, their body, fine. But that baby's body, where's the choice there?
Exactly.
So if they don't protect life at birth, I mean, even before birth, but then again, here's the other thing. If I am driving and I am 8 months pregnant and I get killed and my baby gets killed, that's double homicide. How can you put somebody in jail when their life is not outside you?
Right.
So there's so many things where people don't even say, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Because
that doesn't make sense.
Their mentality is, well, if you were pregnant and you chose to keep your baby, you gave that baby's life value as the mother. And I'm like, that's not fair. I don't want anyone determining the value of my life. I thank the Lord that my mother didn't get to decide if I was worth living when she was pregnant with me or any of, my siblings. What makes a woman, and I was telling someone this the other day, I watched a TV show where the girl in the TV show got pregnant. She wasn't ready. She was going to have an abortion. She decided she was going to have an abortion. She's going to kill her baby. And then something happened and she said, no, I don't want to have regrets. I'm going to have the baby. Okay, well, now she's excited about her baby. So her mind has already changed about the value of her child twice. And then she gets into an altercation. She gets beat and she has a miscarriage and she's devastated. And in I'm yelling at the TV going, 1 month ago, you were going to kill the baby yourself. And now somebody else killed it. So it's the worst thing ever. You do not get to decide at what point that child has value. And at what point do you get to decide that it has value? 8 weeks, 10 weeks? Who gave you the authority to say, oh, well, there's fingers now, value. Oh, well, now there's eyes, it has value. Oh, well, I felt it kick. Now it's real. Now it has value. No. You don't get to decide that. And I am with you 100%. And this is where I get challenged. People say, I'm guessing you don't believe I'm guessing that since you're so pro-life, you don't believe in the death penalty. And I'm like, you're right, I don't, because that would be hypocritical. I don't believe that we have the authority to take a human life. And so that means even a vile, disgusting rapist murderer, I don't think we should kill him. I think he should sit in a prison by himself the rest of his life.
Or what about work so that he can pay for the damage that person has done?
That's right. Yep. Excellent. Okay, we're gonna rewrite the whole country. You and I are gonna run the world.
Let's
girl.
do it. Let's do it. President, vice president. Maybe I'll just be treasurer. You can be the president. No, this is great.
Yeah, you make a good point. These people should repay their debt to society, and that debt is not working out or playing football or sitting around watching TV.
Yeah,
it should be the good old ball and chain. He's got shackles around his legs. He's digging. He's digging fields for someone. And then that money that's profited off of that work goes to the family of the girl he murdered, or whatever.
I think companies should align with prisons and set up shop in those places, teach these prisoners a trade, because if you think about it, let me, as a compassionate person, as a life coach, if I had an opportunity to go into these prisons and help these people, because hurt people. You've heard that so many times. Yeah. These people were probably really, and not all, because I know of children that come from great families and they're so entitled and enabled that they can take a life because they can. But in prison, if these people are there, why not show them, rewrite that program? Yeah. What were you taught that gave you the authority to take a life? What were you taught? And maybe I'm just being idealistic or Pollyanna-ish, but I really do believe that they should work for the rest of their life, not sit in jail, but work in jail for the rest of their life to make somebody else's life better.
Agree.
Just a thought. And now going back to another show that I did was I've done several shows on right to life. Oh yeah. Choosing life. And there's another statistic that nobody ever discusses. And I don't know if you probably know the statistics already, but 98% of women and men, 98% of women and men who choose an abortion regret it. So I did a show a long time ago when I was on radio, because back then it was a show. And I said, I would like to hear from the 2%. Any of you who have had an abortion, I want us to talk about it. And I want you to forgive yourself, because, people choose what they choose. At the time they choose it, they do the best they can, and they grow and they learn from those opportunities to choose. Right. Nobody came up forward, but I did get a lot of hate mail from pro-lifers saying, how dare I say that there's a 98% regret, remorse, and many of their lives are go downward, spiral downward, and they don't realize that it's because of that. Why would pro-lifers be mad that you would provide that statistic? It proves that abortion is harmful. Well, pro-life, I mean, so they're pro-choice. Pro-choice, I'm sorry. Maybe I might have heard that wrong too. Yeah, okay. I may have said it wrong. Pro-choice, the pro-choice movement, people that are pro-choice, writing to me saying, how dare I? Yeah. Because, it's their body, their choice. Well, that doesn't make sense to me. No, it doesn't. If I want to drink alcohol or I want to do drugs and there's no other life inside of me, my body, my choice. Right. But if as soon as there's a life inside of me, what happens to the baby that is inside of me? Yep. So many people, pro-choicers, will make a stupid comparison to like, well, you wear your seatbelt, don't you? Because, and I'm like, what does that have to do? I do that because I know that it's safe, not because the law tells me to or whatever. But their arguments are getting fewer and fewer as we are bringing to light what abortion really does to babies and women. And you're going to get a little dose of this, but I will tell you right now that I had an abortion when I was 22. And
I'm very, very open about. It's going to hurt me the rest of my life, whether I've forgiven myself. I know that God has forgiven me. I'm using that to encourage other women to choose life. But I am certainly the resounding 98%. And you can look at my Instagram on any video that I've made about my abortion. The comments are heartbreaking, of hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of women who will admit on my Instagram, thank you for speaking out. I had one too. And I've never told anyone. It's heartbreaking. I've got messages. I mean, we're not talking enough about it. People are so ashamed.
Yeah.
We're not talking enough about what it really does to women. It's not empowering at all.
And, I appreciate you saying that. I don't have a copy of your book. And by the way, for those of you who would like, go ahead and put the book that Lindsey Graham wrote. We're giving away 2 of these books. They're going to be autographed, sent to you. So text me at 407-373-5959. It's the story that she has written about her journey. It's 407-373-5959. Text me. We're giving away 2 books. I will wait till next week to give away the book. So for those of you who are listening on podcast and on other BitChute Odyssey, watching later on, go ahead, text me 407-373-5959. It's the powerful story of being targeted. And I've not had a copy, so we agreed that I was going to get a copy too.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be good. We'll
It's
probably
juicy.
have a sequel for the book once I get the book. But here's the deal: go to whenyounneedafriend.com. I just realized I could talk to Lindsey all day long.
I know. I was like, whatever. We're having fun. We're changing the world.
Yeah, we have. So here we go. Go to whenyounneedafriend.com. Please go and check out all what we're doing. We have all these self-help books, not books, videos, so that you can choose to improve your health, improve your life. So go to whenyounneedafriend.com while you're there. Please subscribe if you haven't done that. If you're a subscriber, you have all of Lindsey Graham's information. It'll take you right to her website. It'll take you to her book, everything that you might need at that time. So while you're there, please check out all my social media, like and follow me there. Check out my sponsors. Support them the way that they're supporting the classroom. Go to the Shop Now bag. Know that we're doing the I Am the Solution weekend workshop, virtual weekend workshop on February 21st to 23rd. And so anyone around the world can join us in that weekend. It's a very powerful weekend, so please choose to do that. We're also going to do Supercut with Dr. William Davis, and that starts August 1st. So check out all the different things that we're doing in the classroom and start your journey, and let's grow together. Last, check out all the different Lilly approved products. And last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom, whether it's $1 or $1,000 a month or a one-time donation. Whatever you can do of your time, talent, treasure, it is greatly appreciated. So today we have Lindsey Graham. You can find her at patriotbarbie.com. She also is giving away her book. Hold your book up. She's giving away a book to the 2 people. So you text me at 407-373-5959. I will put your name and your phone number in the winner's basket. And at the end, next Friday, we will give away the book. I will go into the winner's basket and pick 2 names. Thank you so much, Lindsey, for coming out today. You said that you're going on tour. Where's the next place that you're going to go to?
Well, I'm booking in Florida and Texas.
I live in Florida.
I know. We've got to meet up when I get there.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a bunch of dates that are pending right now.
Okay.
So, but it's crazy. It's in red states, of course. It's Texas and Florida for the most part. So California is one of them.
Go back.
Yeah, it's like pretty extreme. California or Texas and Florida. But the blue states are really where they need to hear my story. So get empowered. But
well, I tell you what, it is wonderful to have this conversation with you. From the moment I saw you, I thought, she's pretty much, you speak my language, you're my people. And I wanted my people to know your people and you. And so is there anything, because we talked about the things that have happened, we've talked about our belief system and values when it comes to freedom and choice and all that. How can we stop and create that protection for ourselves? What is your advice for all of us who are listening to you today?
I think that everyone needs to take on some kind of role, some kind of small role. You know, I was not paying attention 3 years ago, and I was just doing hair and minding my own business, and I was doing nothing. And so I am to blame for a lot of where our culture is at. And so I don't want people to look back a year from now or 2 years from now and go, I didn't do anything. This is why we're here. Now is the time. It is not getting any better anytime soon. So speak up when you feel called to speak truth, act when you need to act. Do not worry about the risk, worry about the reward, but know that you cannot sleep at night knowing that you should have said something and you didn't, or you should have done something and you didn't. The time now is to get out of your comfort zone and do something brave, just a teeny thing every single day. And that's how we're going to work our way out of this, is everyday citizens activating.
Be brave, be bold, which
That's
is
right.
the way that, and it's something that just happens, but you got to allow your yes to be greater than your fear.
Mhm.
When your yes is not greater than your fear, then you will regret not taking a stand. And you will see others, because Robert, my husband, Robert, and I, we had a conversation a while ago, and he had said to me that we needed to serve God, that God needed us to serve. That was the conversation. And all of a sudden I thought, God doesn't need us to serve, because if I choose not to serve, God's going to call somebody else and they'll get the privilege.
Ooh, that's right.
To me, it is my honor to serve God. It is my honor to do whatever I'm being called to do, because somebody else is going to do it.
Yeah.
And at what point do we going to sit, oh, this person, and yeah, that might lead to decapitation. Who knows? However,
glory, it'll be my glory. I'll be
It'll
decapitated
be-
for the name of Christ.
Exactly. We don't know what that yes is going to lead, but I really do believe, and this is a conversation that I don't know if you know who Dr. Lorraine Day is, but she and I have had on the show many times about free will.
Yeah.
If we think that we have free will, I think eventually God will get us. It'll take us longer to get there.
Yeah.
I wrote an article called Follow Your Yellow Brick Road. And, but really, every time you get off the road and you come back, that's divine intervention.
That's right.
We kind of rebel and we resist and we get off the journey that God wants us in, but eventually he'll get us back in.
That's right. Yep.
So eventually it's going to happen. So what is your biggest takeaway that you would all want us to walk away with today by knowing you, Lindsey?
Empowerment, and that God truly is a faithful God. That, you know, I think that this book is my testimony. It's the moment where I tell the world, you know, I've been through some really horrible things in my 20s. I believe God was preparing me my whole life for this. And how do you look at someone like me who financially lost everything and still has joy and purpose and faith in Jesus? Because that is how good he is. And I want everyone to watch everything I do from now on in my life and all the good things and the platform that the Lord gives me, and say, it's because she followed God, not because of anything I've said or done, not because I deserve it or I'm owed it. I'm working hard, but it's because God is blessing me for saying yes and following my purpose.
I love it. I love it. I so see what you're saying. I relate, and I know that you're relating to a lot of people that follow the classroom as well. Remember, we're giving away 2 of these books. You can text me at 407-373-5959. If you're out of the state of the country, the nation, and you want a copy of this book, pay for shipping, because it is expensive to do the shipping. But I'm so grateful to you. Make sure all of you share this video with people, because the mainstream media doesn't want you to know how powerful you are, how powerful you really, really are. Thank you so much, Lindsey, for for having all the bullets on your back or the arrows on your back while you're paving the way for all of us.
Thank you.
And please remember, all of you, please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Lindsey Graham wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever! I knew you'd be the best ever. Good job.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Thank you so much for watching today. Make sure you share this with your friends, the people you love. Let them know that no matter what you do in life, God is a faithful God. Even when we're not faithful, God is faithful. Final words, Lindsey, before we go.
Have I not commanded you? Go forth, be strong, be courageous, do not be discouraged, do not be afraid, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for being on the classroom today and being our teacher.